Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. We are on the air. This is Thesis.
3, 2, 1. We are on the air. This is Thesis. Everything is everything. I am your host, Jay Marie. How's it going out there, folks? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for showing up and hanging out with us today. Coming to you live from Zombie Land. Yes, sir. Well, thank you for showing up and checking in on us today. I hope you find yourself well and healthy and safe. It's been a couple minutes, but we are here. I am healthy. I am alive. I am safe, and I am here. So, thank you for checking in on us and hanging out with us today. So I actually I already had the topic of what we were going to talk about for a couple weeks now, actually, and I had a couple setbacks when I was getting ready to, like, for instance, last weekend I was going to record, but then we had a thunderstorm come through and light outage or whatever, so I had to postpone that. And today I was feeling a little froggy, so I figured let's go ahead and knock this out so we can, because I already know what our next topic is going to be. So, let's go ahead and get this one out of the way. So, thank you for your interest in what's going on. So, all right. So let's go ahead and just jump right in to this week's topic. We live here in America, right? I'm first generation American. My mother and my father came to this country in the 70s, right? And they came on a visa, on a work visa, and I was blessed and lucky enough to have been born here, right? So my birth comes with all of the benefits of being a United States citizen, So one of the things but the thing that we want to talk about is our nation, America, the story of America, but through the eyes of what I've experienced. But also we're going to dive into other parts of what makes America what it is, the people, the culture, those type of things, the struggles that, the voyage that people take to get, all of that is part of the American experience, the complete American experience. So my parents came, looking for work. They were just factory workers. They didn't graduate high school. They didn't come from wealth or anything like that. So they came looking for just, a better life. They heard there was plenty of work over here, so they got a visa. They came. They overstayed their visas, when it was time for, I don't really know how that works, but when it was time for all of that, they overstayed their visas, right? But luckily and thankfully, there was they had a amnesty thing that happened in the 80s, which cleared the way for them to eventually become American citizens, which they are now, right? But they had a choice, at some point in their young adult lives to try to find something better than what was in front of them, Now, over on the Mexico side, on my dad's side of the family, they have property. We have about a block's worth of property that belongs to the family. There's like 4 or 5 houses on this property and some empty lots and everything. And my parents had a house there, tiny little house, all in like a little, none huge, not like a big old, family complex or anything. It's about the size of a small city block. But they had a little house there, and they figured they wanted something better because there wasn't any work. They were factory workers. They both worked in a factory. So they came to America looking for a better experience and also, the ability to hopefully to find a chance to make some money for the family, because they were a young family. They were just starting a family, as the so they came over here, and of course, things happen, the way they happen in life. You work and you have kids and you grow and you find your chances to, like my dad, we moved a few times. We moved to San Antonio when we were young, looking because he heard there was more work over there. So, we moved to San Antonio looking for work. And while we were there, I remember that things were actually pretty well. My dad was making a lot of money. He's a painter. He was getting a lot of contracts and all that stuff. So that choice for them to move down to San Antonio for a while, because we're in Dallas, also helped, along the way. There was the ups and downs, and those things, right? Este, so so the experience is pretty normal experience. They didn't have to, cross any rivers or pay coyotes or anything like that. Luckily and thankfully that they didn't have to experience that stuff. Although many people do experience that, and it doesn't always work out well, right? But thank God that they were able to get over here and plant themselves down here in Dallas and make a home for themselves, a homestead. You know, one of the things that I remember very clearly as I was young and growing up is that my parents wanted to learn English. They would ask us to correct them. My mom, my dad would ask us, the kids, because we grew up here and went to school here, as they would ask us to, for correction in English. How do you say this? How do you say that? They were really interested in learning English, and learning English. Of course, you're learning the culture because you're working among English-speaking people. My dad was a painter. Early on, my mom, she's always done like housekeeping services and stuff like that. So she's always been, they've always had to communicate with people on a lot. It's not just like here, work on this factory line, you know, communicating with people, contracts, contractors, deals, whatever, right? And that was a good experience for them because they wanted better, right? Leaving their old country, leaving everything behind, they wanted better. Something was calling them. What was calling them? Something better awaits for you over there. Go look for it. And when they come here, they come and they work and they're doing their best. They, renting. We didn't. They didn't get to buy a house until later on, many years later. But living the life, living the American life, working, earning a living, paying taxes and everything, of course. So that experience of working, in doing small business and learning the language and everything, um, was good for what they were trying to do. It helps learning the language of the country you're a stranger to. That helps you out, right? Because now you're able to communicate with the locals instead of through a translator or through books trying to figure out what people are saying. When you learn the language, it is easier to communicate, which makes things easier around you. Going to the store, ordering services, I don't know, talking to officials in the city or police officers, whatever. Learning the language really helps, you know, kind of put your foot planted really firmly, because the language is what's gonna connect you to the people, right? All right. So, that experience is pretty normal, pretty standard. Nothing really, extravagant really ever happened, in our family. Just, you know, just work and grow, you know. So that experience is basically pretty similar to you. You're probably thinking to yourself, damn, but that's pretty simple. That's pretty much like everyone else. Yes. Basically, that's the story of everyone, you know. We work, we earn a living, we try to survive, and that's it. Now we're going to get into a little bit more of the American culture, because my parents came, and it's sort of like, we've heard of this term the melting pot, right? So people come from different countries, and it's almost like you got a pot and you're throwing in different types of cheeses, right? Italian cheese, American cheese, Mexican cheese, and it's all melting together. That's what America is like. Cultures and languages blend together. It's the melting pot, you know? So when we think of the American culture, as that a lot of the things that we have today are because of the mixture of the different ideas and things that people bring from different parts of the country. You know, Santa Claus, Halloween, these things are a blend of different cultures coming together, and what we have is the end result. So when we have the American Halloween experience, that is a unique experience to America because it brought all these pieces from all over the world, you know, customs from all over the world, brought them together and eventually became what it is today, where we go trick-or-treating, door-to-door, masks and parties and all these things. Same thing with Santa Claus. Santa Claus is the product of many different cultures and their stories of baby Jesus or whatever these stories are of gifts and giving and all this that blend together, like they melted together. And what we have today, like in the Santa Claus story, is a product of America. You know, not consumerism, whatever. Some people might say, yeah, Coca-Cola, whatever. Never mind all of that. The idea itself is a product of the American culture, which is a blend of many cultures. Remember, we're a melting pot, right? So the experiences that other peoples in America have had, other races, other religions, other creeds, other, areas in the country, all of those experiences are the American experience, Even though you or I haven't experienced certain things, they still are part of the American experience. It's been like almost granted to you by you being an American, by you being an American citizen, by you saying in your heart, no, I'm an American. This stuff has been, given to you, all of it. All of the story of America from the beginning, from the Revolution, the Constitution, to the 50s and the Civil Rights Movement, all of these things, the technological revolutions, in the 80s and 90s, the internet, all these things that are a product of America, American innovation, American scientific discovery, American ingenuity, all these things are a product of you, of me, because you're an American. It's not just like I'm rooting for a team, like a shirt of your favorite team. No, I don't just wear a jersey that says America. I am American, and not simply because I was born here. Your heart, your future, your mind, your soul has to belong to the essence of what this is, of what this nation is, of what this is our tribe. You know what I'm saying? This is our city within, the walled city. This is us. This is our family. Our nation, yours, mine, theirs. And there's, it takes some, because history, we've been around for a few hundred years, right? And there's a lot of history that comes along with those several hundred years. Good stuff, bad stuff, innovation, destruction, a lot of it. And all of it together is ours. It's unfortunate that in many recent years, there's been a kind of like a push out there somehow of pointing towards the bad things that our nation is responsible for, genocide of the natives, whatever, right? All these things that people can always point towards constantly, and they focus on these things in order to try to convince younger generations that haven't really experienced it yet, because they kind of teach this stuff in schools, or you hear it on pop culture and stuff like that, is kind of like, look, all of the bad things that we have done, right? Because this is our nation, so we have to accept, we have to say this is what we've done as a nation. Slavery, wars, all these things, right? We have to look at that and say we've done this. Now it is a choice in us. It's up to a choice into us to look towards the good or towards the bad, which is one of the main focuses of what we do here, right? So while we're looking at history, while we're looking at our tribe, while we're looking at our family, at our home, we have to be honest, right? We have to be honest, right? And but we can also look and try to find solutions, and also if there's problems, we can try to find solutions. But we also have a choice to whether we can focus in on what is good, the things that have been good, the things that are going good, or what is bad, the things that have happened bad, because plenty of good and bad happen all the time. What we choose to focus is up to us. And that will determine our feelings and our emotions of the day, and where we direct our efforts and all these things on our emotion of what we're thinking about. So if I keep thinking about how bad things were back in the day in my family, when we were poor, when we didn't have nothing, when we didn't own a house, when we were moving all the time, you know what I'm saying? These things, if I focus in on that, then what that does is it creates a negative atmosphere around you when you constantly think of negative, right? And not just only, like, let's say in the family structure, right? Because remember, family equals tribe, equals state, equals city, nation, all of that, right? But we're going, because that's what it is. A couple has a child, and then people and whatever, and that generational thing can grow, and it becomes a tribe. And if the tribe keeps growing, it becomes a city. And if the city keeps growing, it becomes the nation. All from one. So we're all a family, right? So when we think of family, we're thinking city, we're thinking state, we're thinking nation, but also we're thinking family. Like here, my family, your family, in your home. How you think about what's going on in your tribe. Right? Because we have tribes. Your main tribe, which is at home, but then the tribe of your neighborhood, and the tribe of your city, and the tribe of your state. See what I'm saying? Jurisdictional, But it all translates equally, but just on a broader sense, because of what happens in your home, what happens in your mind, what happens in your tribe, translates outward also. So, getting back to with this kind of idea that we should point towards the bad things that we have done, that our family has done, going back to many, many years, right? Hundreds of years in some instances. In most instances, they're like, hey, remember when this happened? Pointing back 400 years, 500 years, 600 years, 300 years. I prefer to of course learn about the past, but to look for the good. Acknowledge the bad, but look for the good in the past and going forward. So, this constant push to try to focus in on negative, not just in our tribe, right, in our nation or our state or politics or whatever, but generalize. Why look towards the bad? Why focus in on the bad, the past that was negative, the people that died, the people that got whipped, the people that were slaves? Like, focused in on that, the negative part, constantly, That is not a good thing when we look at something like that. Like, psychologically, it is not a good thing. The psychiatrist, the therapist will tell you, don't focus on the negative. Focus on good things. Try to focus on good things. Your day will be better. Your days will be better. You will feel better. You will be better. So this constant focusing in on negative stuff within our family is not good, because there's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of fun stuff, that our family has produced, has been a part of, that has brought to the world community, you know? As a, so, of course, I just actually wrote down some names of things and stuff that's American. So yeah, we can kind of go through some of those things to kind of remind us what what you know to remind us what it means to be American. Because look, we carry all this weight. Okay, fine. These folks who want to focus in on the negative, they want to throw all this weight on us. Okay, let's carry all of it. All of it. From baseball to football, all of it. Okay, this is what came from us. The the personal computer, all of these things came from us, from our tribe. And we can be a little proud of that, because this, our family, our community, our standard of being here in our tribe, has allowed for all these things to flourish, has allowed for all these things to be created, and some stuff, I mean, that we're not going to get into. There's a lot of things, but when you think of medicines and cures and technological advances and all that stuff, all of it, we can put it all together. Let's bring it on then, right? Let's bring it on, all of it. So, like, just simple stuff, simple basic stuff. Like the other day I was watching the movie called it's about McDonald's, The Founder. Great movie, and it showed the story of how McDonald's started. The brothers, and the guy that started McDonald's wasn't even a McDonald. The two brothers, it's a great movie. It's a great story, but his constant, he was a salesman, but his constant desire, he saw this product that they had, and in the kitchen. The innovation in the kitchen was what made this one burger stand, the McDonald Brothers burger stand, what made that place just hopping. When he came to deliver a milk, first of all, he was a milkshake salesman, and they ordered, like, I need 10 milkshake machines. And he was like, dang, nobody even buys 3 or 2. Y'all need 10? I need to see what's going on. He shows up, boom, full lines of people eating burgers. And he wanted to figure out what it was. And what the main part of what was their success was the kitchen and their menu. That was it. Simplified. Structure. Food in, out. Limit what you sell. People, whatever. Man. And he loved it so much that he invested, he chased them. He let me be a partner. Let me do franchise or whatever. They finally gave him a chance to. Great story. But his Ray Kroc, I believe his first name was Ray, but Mr. Kroc, his ability, his desire to want to bring this. He said, this can't be just in one town. Every town needs a burger stand like your place. He saw the vision. He worked towards that. When they allowed him to use, when they allowed him to franchise, he used to bring that to many, many cities, and then eventually many states and all across the nation to what it is today. But from one man's vision, and it wasn't about money. It was about something else. It was about the food, the product, the experience. The McDonald's experience that he saw at this one little burger stand that was jumping. It wasn't like everybody else had. At that time, everybody else had like Sonic drive-ups, drive-ins. It was nothing like that. And he was amazed, and he was like, yes. And he said, this is what everybody needs. One man's idea, and his work. Oh my God, the work that he had, what he had to go through to get, first of all, to get the franchises, and then to open up franchises, and to get the right kind of people. Like, amazing, just amazing story. That is America. That is part of our tribe, his story. The creation of this restaurant that serves over 3 billion people served. Now it probably says over 30 billion people served. That's us. That's America. That's part of the American experience. McDonald's was made in the USA. It was made in America. McDonald's, restaurants like, other stuff that we could think, burger, I'm not, Burger King, all the other little places, but Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, the experience of Pizza Hut. Man, we used to go after school, after high school. So, when I was in high school, I worked at the sports arena as a usher, right, at the Mavericks, as the and if they would win on the outscore car, I don't know, something, they would hand out, everybody would win a free personal pan pizza, and they would let us hand out the tickets at the end of the day. So you know how we do it: fold up about 20 or 30 of them and put them in your pocket for your homies, right? So I would have a stack of those, and after school, whenever we'd go to a football game or something, or I'd invite everybody. I'm like, I'm buying because I had these free tickets, right? The free personal pan pizza. Like, just somebody needs to buy me a drink, and then somebody needs to drive, and I'm buying. Okay. Pizza Hut, you know, they had, the salad bar. Y'all remember the salad bar? Then they would have the little tabletop Pac-Man machine. Pizza Inn had that stuff too, but Pizza Hut was probably the more memorable one for me. That's American too. Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, tabletop, where you could put your drink and it's clear, like playing a video game. That's American. That's the American experience. Going to Pizza Hut after a baseball game, Little League, whatever. You go and you play, or even high school or sports, whatever. After, there was always, let's go to the Pizza Hut, right? That's the American experience also. Culture. Like, here in the neighborhoods, right, we have, like in the Latino, right, in the Latino culture, we have lowrider cars, right, lowrider shows, car clubs. We have that, that's, I think that right there is uniquely American. The lowrider cars with the hydraulics and the Daytons and all that, like that, So you can see that these things that we experience, some of us experience them, some of you out there, others might not, right? Because we're all from different areas that have these things or don't, as them. But that lowrider cars, are you kidding me? You seen how they hop while they're cruising on? My cousin has, right now it's in the garage or whatever, but he has one, with the whole, like, I don't know the lingo, but all the way around, and it can pancake and all that stuff. Like, but it hasn't been moved in a minute. So, but I know several guys who actually, who are in car clubs and have their cars like that. And that right there is uniquely, American. That's us. The even if you're not Latino, even if you're black or white or Asian, that's you. That's yours. That part of American culture belongs to you also. I'm a fan of mafia movies. The Sopranos, Boardwalk Empire. Mafia movies are like my jam. I love them so much. Like, I'm a huge fan of The Sopranos, and I have actually watched the entire run of all the seasons. I've lost count. Had to have it. We're probably somewhere in the 20. Like, I've watched it 20 times probably. It's like it's an epic. When you watch it all the way through, it's like an epic, kind of like, uh, Homer or whatever. Like the old stories, the long stories. You gotta watch the whole thing. You can watch it in segments. If you catch one show, you might be like, oh, great. But when you catch the entire epic, it's something different. So the mob culture, the Italian experience, the Italian American experience, outside, of course, like, uh, the way my family, the Mexican American experience, same thing with the Italian American experience, but this American experience of the mafia, right, and New York mob and all these things, it has become popular culture in movies and all that, but it represents a part and a time of American history. When these, organizations were, kind of underground, and they did all these things, and they had crooked politicians and all these things that you see in the movies, they are true. They have advisors and stuff that tell the writers of the stories that said this is the kind of stuff that happens. So when you watch The Sopranos, when you watch Goodfellas, when you watch these movies and you see crooked politicians, or you see money laundering, whatever, these things really happen the way they show them. They just change names and all that, but that really happens. That is part of the American experience. Street gangs, Latino street gangs here in America. We were in gangs here. I was in gangs here in my hood where we live right now. We've talked to our friend George, who went to prison for murder. We have that experience here. That story, even in the films, even in the way we've experienced it, but even the way people see it outside, some folks from the suburbs or people who've never had gangs in their hoods or whatever, even the way they see it, all of that is part of the culture, of the American culture, with the good and the bad, okay? Because we're looking at this all the way through, good and bad. Gangs can do bad things, can and do, I don't want to go as far as say they can do good things. Because everybody can do, all folks can do good. But gangs usually don't do good things, like they don't do food drives and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? They're usually more about selling drugs or whatever, right? Drugs. And not drugs specifically, but, slanging, moving weight, whatever, that part. So here for the Latino culture, right? So we've all moved, well, not all of us, sorry guys, a lot of us have moved drugs, have been involved in these things, have talked to cartels, have moved heavy weight, and done all kinds of stuff like that. That's part of the American culture also. These things that we see in the movies, these things that are portrayed in movies, that are trying to represent our story, not our story like Latino story, Americans' story. The Sopranos, that's an American story. La Bamba, that's an American story. You know what I'm saying? The Color Purple, that's an American story. All of it combined together. We can look at these things and say, this was good, this was bad, but all combined is a picture of what we are, who we are, Not directly and necessarily, because look, some parts of the nation are really bad. Some parts in some cities are really, people are just out of control, and that's not a representation of the entirety of us, But it does. That is part of the experience, also, unfortunately. Sports, I used to be crazy about sports. Like, okay, so. Crazy about sports as watching the Mavericks and watching the Cowboys and making sure I go with my friends when the Cowboys were on, or when the Mavericks, try to catch the games, those type of things. I wasn't a huge going to the games. We weren't, we really didn't have much money growing up or whatever. So, those kind of things were out of our reach. Although, I do remember one time we worked for this company, and one of the managers gave my brother 2 tickets to go to the Cowboys, and we were right on the 50-yard line, and we were so excited because we had never been to a Cowboys game, and it was at the old Texas Stadium. Whatever it was called, the one they knocked down, and we were so excited that because we had never been, and I was like, man, we need to get drunk before we go in because beers are expensive or whatever. So we like chugged 2 40s each. Like we bought some 40s and in the parking lot, boom, 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 boom. Bro, I was drunk. By the time we went to go sit down for the game, I was drunk. At halftime, I was passing out. Woo! Fun. I was so drunk. And we left like after halftime. I was like, bro, let's just go, nigga, because them... We got some like malt liquor. I don't I don't remember what it was, but we chugged 2 of them each before we went in. So by the time we got to our seats, We were good, man. We were good. I couldn't even pay attention to the game. That's how drunk I was. You know what I'm saying? It was great though. So that whole experience right there was just so amazing because you know the parking, you park, and sometimes you gotta park far, and then you're gonna walk all the way to the stadium. Like all these things, you see the people, all of that, all of that is unique. It's beautiful. There's different sports around the world, whatever, but we're talking about the Cowboys. We're talking about Texas Stadium. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of the Cowboys, we had a tailgate party last year, and that was great. That was my first tailgate party. Like I had never, amazing. Like, oh my God, so many people having such a great time all the way around the perimeter. Like they have this perimeter thing around the parking lot, everywhere, even across the streets, parking lots, Walmart parking lots, all the parking lots. People just partying, setting up, cooking out, everything, drinking, great, beautiful. That was so amazing. Like that was my first, and like we're planning one coming soon, and we are actually. I had the last one. I wasn't sure what I was gonna do or whatever, but like this next one, I'm gonna take my gear and I'm actually gonna plan to do a show from the um, tailgate party. Man, amazing! Like, oh, dude, the Jerry World in the background, like just amazing. Baseball, the Texas Rangers, same thing. Like we hadn't, I had never been to a game. We're talking many years ago for the same thing, and the same manager from the same place gave us some Rangers tickets, and the exact same thing happened. Me and my bro went. We got drunk. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who played what. Great. Fun. All of that experience is, American made baseball. Like, I hear these guys talking about, in New York when they go to I don't know the name of the parks, but, where the Yankees play or whatever, you got to take the subway. And he said, when you get out of the subway, everybody in the subway is going to the game. And, like, there's this experience, he says, one of the guys that I listen to. He says, man, taking the train, he says, the whole experience, you go early and you get to the place and then you go get you something to eat before the game. Then the game's on and you're there for a few hours. Like, it's a whole day of this, of enjoying with your family, of enjoying other folks, and being with other people in the stadium, watching your people play, or in the parking lot, or on the train on the way to the place. You know, people fight, of course, when people get drunk and they fight on my team, your team, whatever. That's lame. People get hurt and that's lame. We don't accept that, and but for the most part, everyone is having a great time. You know, strangers, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people amongst each other right there outside of the perimeter, people walking into the game, people walking out of the game, people cooking out and partying and driving through and walking around and hanging out, everyone having a great time, everybody being friendly and talking with each other. Like, no problem, you can go up to somebody and join them or invite them to come join you, or hey, you want a beer? Like nothing. It's a great big family. You see somebody wearing a Cowboys jersey, they're part of my team. They're in my family. They're in my tribe. They're cool. That shirt says a lot to me, right? When we're there, right? But if the other team member or whatever, we all focus, that guy, he's not part of our, that family they're not part of our tribe. Boo, boo, or whatever, right? It can be fun. It can be fun. Without violence, it can be very, very fun. And that whole experience is the same thing. Family, tribe, city, Cowboys, representing, like, you just don't know how deep it goes with the Estrella, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have a prison gang here in Texas. They rock the star. That's like their trademark, you know what I'm saying? So when you see the star, they're, in that. I'm not going to say the name, but they're in that, you know what I'm saying? That's the, and it's, Hey, the good and the bad, right? Okay, slavery. Okay, well, prison gangs too. What? As a matter of fact, damn, we got to bring him back on. As a matter of fact, the guy who started that particular gang is a good friend of mine. He's been on the show before. Y'all can go back and look through the things. We need to bring him back. But that's part of it too. Because we were in the street gangs, and when he went to prison, he just took that experience from the street into there, but brought organization with it. Businesses, so we talked about restaurants and famous, McDonald's and all that. But that experience of Ray Kroc, he was a, he was just a regular guy, a salesman selling milkshake machines. You know what I'm saying? But his hard work and his effort took him in the right direction to get him to where he needed to go to become, Mr. McDonald's, basically. You know what I'm saying? But, when you look at, the environment, the political environment, the social environment, the business environment in a nation, in a city has to be proper, has to be prime for people to invest, for people to be able to open up a store or a factory or a restaurant, So another aspect of the American experience is the way we've been able to keep our society, pretty decent, to where we respect each other well enough to open up contracts with each other, to hire one another, to come work for each other. So the business environment in America is primed for small businesses. Now, over 75% of all businesses in America are with 10 workers or less are small businesses. The plumber, the little small plumber from down the road, a lot of these cable installers, they're contractors, small lawnmower businesses, whatever, barbers, all these things, that's business. That's the ability of someone who has a skill to say, you know what, I'm going to try this. I'm going to open up my restaurant. I'm going to open up this barber shop. I'm going to try to do something with this skill that I got. I'm going to invest some money, But these things, the environment has to be right for that to happen, right for that to succeed. If we're all mad at each other, if we're all fighting each other, if we're angry at each other, always, constantly, the environment, the neighborhood, the community is not going to want to, right? Because everything is. Now, business still exists in torn up places, in torn up cities, in torn up nations. Business still exists because people need to cooperate. People need to eat. People need to have electricity. People need these things, So that's going to force people to cooperate with each other, right? But the more, that we're able to talk to each other, the more that we're able to communicate with each other, the more that we're able to get along with each other in these different scenarios that we've been through, a bunch of scenarios, aspects of our culture, just a bit. But our ability to be able to, get through these things by talking to people, by thinking things through, by educating ourselves, by working hard, that it's primed for us to succeed when we do put in that hard work. I know plenty of small business owners. We have Chris, the barber, Sheffield Plumbing. That's my homeboy. We have our company. I don't know if you ever noticed that I never mentioned our company because I don't want this isn't a commercial for that. But our company started with one truck, one customer on the weekends by our, the CEO that started this company. One truck, one customer on the weekends. He had a regular job. He was a technical guy making technical stuff, programs and stuff. He started this company. And we're at about 15 years now. It's what it is. We're about at 80 franchises across the country. And we are here in the DFW. We are one of 3 franchises here in the DFW, and I've seen the growth from where we were before, because I've been with this company for about 13 years now. So when I got in, it was this company was just a baby. There was no franchises across the country. There was none of that. Now we're not a household name yet, but we're hopefully gonna get there in the next 10 years. That would be that would be great. But it all started with one person, one truck, one idea, and the environment had to be proper, right? Correct. Because in other nations, banking systems, governance systems, local whatever, aren't proper for somebody to say, hey, let me start this idea. Let me start this company that can become, something great with 100 franchises, with 200 franchises, where maybe there's millions and millions of dollars being coming through this company year after year. Not every country, not every nation has the proper setup for success of the people. Yet here in America, there is a good setup. But because of who we are amongst each other, when we stop treating each other with love, when we stop looking out for each other, when we start hating each other, all of this stuff can go away. Your ability to walk into any store and just simply purchase something that you need, food, gas, whatever. All these things can go away, but it's up to us to maintain it. Because I'm an American, right? I've let go of my connections to the past. I'm not a Mexican citizen. Those properties and stuff, yes, they belong to our family, but there's no hope in us ever getting that back. There's no hope for us ever enjoying that property or that stuff. Why? Because of the way the culture is over there with the cartels and all of that stuff. It's very hard from where we're from to even say, well, one day we're going to go and sell the house, or one day we're going to go and stay the weekend. There's none of that. So we have cut ties, basically, with the past. We are now Americans. My mom is an American citizen. My dad is an American citizen. He was so excited when he took his test. He was practicing, all of it. He was so excited when he became an American citizen. All of those things, all of these experiences, from what we eat to how we treat each other, to our ability to work, to open a business, our ability to communicate with each other, our ability to defend ourselves, our ability to speak to our representatives, my ability to go to a city hall meeting and voice my concerns. Going to a football game, going to a high school football game, that's huge in Texas. Friday Night Lights, soccer, people love soccer. There's a lot of that stuff, all of it. From what happens in the hoods to what happens in the, in the uppity neighborhoods, whatever. The rich people, the poor people, New York, California, the South, Texas, Chicago, all of that experience, whether good or bad, all of it is American. And we can say, okay, that is who we are. That is who we are. Now, I want to be the best person that I can be to my neighbors, to my family, to strangers, because I choose to be. I got rid of the anger, and all of that stuff that I used to rile in back in the day. I was mad, I was angry, I was an addict, all these things. I got rid of that because there was nothing good in that. I decided I wanted to be a better citizen. I wanted to educate myself. So I started reading books. I started reading philosophy. I started, learning about scriptures, gotten into history. This desire for me to better myself took me in the path that brought me to Plato, that brought me to history books, that brought me to the scriptures, that brought me to philosophy, that brought me to wanting to do this show, that brought me to wanting to do this podcast, that brought me to coming here to you often and speaking of ideas and things about, the way we live and about the way we probably should live and about our past and about stories that I've experienced, stories that my family has experienced, in the drugs and in the gangs and myself, because I was an addict and all of these things. I bring all of those stories to you because that experience that was my experience is also your experience. I bring that experience. Everything that I talk about, whether my, the experiences in the drugs, in the drug gang, or my experiences being an addict, all these stories about when the SWAT team kicked my door in, all of these things, all of these experiences are my experiences, but they are also our experiences. Because maybe you have experienced something, in the family, something in the past that was similar, and we can all associate, like, dang, I remember something like that happened, and we can kind of, the more we can see that our experiences are similar, no matter our color, no matter our backgrounds, no matter where we came from, all of our experiences are similar. The sooner and the more that we can see that part of it, the easier it would be for us to have compassion on each other. When I see an addict on the street, I don't say, look at that crackhead, and people share pictures of addicts and stuff, like if it's something funny. There's nothing funny about that. You sharing that picture of the addict on the street because of whatever, it looks like they're dancing or whatever the heck, you sharing that picture says more about you than the poor addict who's suffering. So all of those experiences, we need to be able to take them in and say, because compassionately, all of it. I was in gangs. We shot at each other, all kinds of stuff, right? That's part of the story. That's part of the experience. Forgiveness also is part of the story, because our family, our American family, has done bad things to each other. Throughout time, we've hurt each other many times. Each other. Whether it's governments, cops, whatever. We hurt each other. We have hurt each other in the past. But we are getting to a point where we are realizing that, we can't hurt each other anymore, because this is our family. And if we are to, to survive, to prosper, to keep on, we need to figure out. We need to figure it out. We need to figure out our problems. We need to communicate our problems. We need to figure out some answers to what's going on in our family, because we are a family. And just like, even though we don't get along with each other sometimes, I will defend you. Even if you don't think the way I do, even if you don't, worship the way I do, whatever, I will defend you with my life. I will put my life on the line for you, for your family, for your children. Because you are my brother. You are my sister. We are a family. This is the American family. And we need to stop fighting with each other. We need to unite, because united we are strong. One stick breaks easily, but if you get a bunch of sticks together, they won't break. United we stand. Those things mean something. Let's work hard on being a family. Let's work a little bit harder on being a non-dysfunctional family that loves each other, that helps each other. All right, guys. Well, that was pretty good. I am glad. I think we got through that. I want to apologize. It's been 4 weeks or whatever since the last time we talked, and I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm going to try not to let that happen anymore, but it's okay, because if you follow us on Facebook, if you subscribe to us on YouTube, you haven't missed a thing. So I want to ask you right now, if you liked what you heard and you enjoyed what you heard, please hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening to us, but also go over to our YouTube page and subscribe to us there. Follow us on Facebook, because we do a lot of stuff. It's not just here on the audio side. So let's do that. I want to thank you guys for spending time with us, for coming in and checking in on us. I hope you enjoyed what we talked about today, because we are a family and we need to start acting like one. I love you guys and I love you like a family. So I hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, please tell your friends. If you really enjoyed it, please hit give us a 5-star rating. That helps us. Also, if you see our clips on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button and the little star button, so you can know when all of our new videos come out. Because I've been very busy on the video side, so I would ask you to please go over there and follow us on that side too. All right. I will come back and we'll be speaking soon again. So in the meantime, I want you to please take care of yourself. Please stay healthy. Please stay on the same path that you are on. You are on the right path. If you are here and you are listening and you enjoy these conversations, you are on the right path. Stay on there. I thank you for being here, and I congratulate you also. So in the meantime, I want you to stay safe. I want you to stay healthy. Follow us on our other platforms so you will stay well connected to us. Reach out to us, please, if you have questions or whatever. Please reach out to us. That's it. Take care of yourself. Keep at it. All right, guys? I love you. Stay safe. Peace out, folks.
This is Thesis.